year is 1914. Europe, a continent of empires and alliances, is like a powder keg waiting for a spark. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand on June 28, 1914 provided that spark. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, Germany declared war on Russia and France. Great Britain joined the war when Germany invaded Belgium. The Great War began, reshaping the political landscape of the 20th century. Before the war, Europe was a network of alliances. Countries promised to help each other if attacked, but these alliances also created fear and suspicion. Each country felt it had to be stronger than its rivals. This led to an arms race, with countries building bigger armies and more powerful weapons. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand was the spark that ignited this powder keg. Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia and issued an ultimatum with harsh demands. Serbia agreed to most of the demands, but not all. This partial acceptance was not enough for Austria-Hungary, which declared war on Serbia on July 28, 1914. Austria-Hungary's declaration of war triggered a chain reaction. Russia, an ally of Serbia, began mobilizing its army. Germany, allied with Austria-Hungary, saw this as a threat. Germany declared war on Russia and then on France, Russia's ally. Germany's plan was to quickly defeat France and then turn its attention to Russia. To do this, Germany invaded Belgium, a neutral country. This act outraged Great Britain, which had pledged to protect Belgium's neutrality. On August 4, 1914, Great Britain declared war on Germany. The complex web of alliances had turned a regional conflict into a global war. What began as a dispute between Austria-Hungary and Serbia had escalated into a fight involving the most powerful nations in the world. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand was the immediate cause of the war. However, the underlying causes, including nationalism, imperialism, and the system of alliances, had been building for decades. Imagine a narrow, muddy ditch stretching for miles across the battlefields of Europe. This was the reality for millions of soldiers during World War I. They lived in these trenches, often for months at a time, facing unimaginable conditions. The trenches were more than just ditches. They were a way of life, a grim reality that came to define the war for millions. Soldiers dug elaborate networks of trenches, connected by communication trenches and fortified with machine gun nests and artillery emplacements. Life in the trenches was a constant struggle against mud, disease, and enemy fire. The trenches were often flooded, infested with rats, and plagued by lice. Diseases like trench foot, caused by prolonged exposure to dampness, were rampant. Soldiers endured these hardships with remarkable resilience. They formed strong bonds of camaraderie, finding solace in shared experiences and mutual support. The trenches became their homes, their battlefields, and for many, their final resting places. Despite the horrors of war, soldiers found ways to maintain their humanity. They wrote letters to loved ones, sang songs, and played games to pass the time and boost morale. These small acts of normalcy provided a much-needed respite from the constant fear and uncertainty of life on the front lines. The letters they wrote home offer a poignant glimpse into their experiences, filled with both the horrors they witnessed and the longing for home. One such soldier was a young British man named Wilfred Owen. Owen, a gifted poet, documented the horrors of trench warfare in vivid detail. His poems, such as Dulce et decorum est, exposed the brutality of war and challenged the romanticized notions of heroism that were prevalent at the time. Owen's words gave voice to a generation scarred by the horrors of war, capturing the physical and psychological toll it took on those who fought in the trenches. While the Western Front in Europe saw some of the war's fiercest fighting, the conflict was truly global. Battles raged in Africa, the Middle East, and Asia, involving people from colonies and empires far from the European heartland. In Africa, European colonial powers clashed for control of territories. African soldiers and civilians were drawn into the conflict, fighting in battles that often had little to do with their own lives or aspirations. The war disrupted traditional ways of life, leading to economic hardship and political instability. The Middle East witnessed a different kind of conflict. The Ottoman Empire, allied with Germany, fought against British and Allied forces in a struggle for control of strategically important regions. The war led to the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, and the redrawing of borders in the Middle East, with lasting consequences for the region. In Asia, Japan, allied with Britain, seized German colonies in China and the Pacific. This expansion of Japanese influence would have significant implications for the future, contributing to tensions in the region leading up to World War II.